You're number 13, Knight. I don't know whether you find that lucky or unlucky, but you are
Oh
episode
man,
13, my friend.
I'm not a particularly superstitious person, but who
Hmm.
knows?
13 was my lucky number, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think this one's gonna be a good one. I have
All right,
faith.
I'm excited then. That works for me.
I have fucking faith. All right, so welcome to Knight from the guild EVO, a newly formed guild, if I understand correct.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um. Well, I've played Guild Wars since launch. A friend of mine was a big MMO player and got me in right at the outset. But I did not get into World v World until well, I say relatively recently. I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I was like, because I still kind of considered myself a relatively new player, and then I was like, oh shit, wait, that was like 4 years ago. So not quite not like super new anymore, I guess. Um, but yeah, so was doing PVE for a while, got into World v World, relatively recently in the last few years, and just kind of immediately fell in love with the game mode, and have been doing that since. It's a lot of fun.
So, what did you say? Last 4 years you've been in World v World, primary World v World player?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. If I am remembering correctly, I started out doing a lot of roaming, um, and just joined whatever tag was on the map I was on at times. Eventually got into doing more of the Zerg stuff. My character at launch was on HOD. So I joined Air because they were about the only guild that played on that server. And then wanted to do a bit more of the fight stuff. Really enjoyed that. Was lucky enough to know through a mutual friend, or well, a friend of mine knew Quick Rain, who I think is at least he doesn't play anymore, but he used to be a very popular commander. So I moved over, joined his guild Zero at the time, and got kind of trained up as a commander there, and then started doing my own thing after that.
Interesting. So, what are some of the guilds you've been part of in the past besides Air and Zero?
So I joined and played with Revolt RV, who was a very serious GVG guild on NA. That kind of dipped my toes in the like most extreme end of the competitive scene. I started after they disbanded, started my own guilds. QT. We ran together for a little while, and then rejoined a bunch of my RV friends for the last big GVG tournament that happened, and then for the previous 6 months up until I had just started EVO, I was driving for Soul, who's one of the more recent, just this year, but larger competitive fight group in open field. That's kind of been my main path. But I think I've tried to like join in and play with a lot of other groups that are just I found fun people to be around, or even just like get out there, see new commanders, see new styles, just get to play the game and have fun.
This is a question I'd ask later on, but since you brought it up, I'll ask it now. Like, what when you followed some of these other commanders, what are you looking for?
Um, I guess really the only thing that I'm like truly looking for is like I enjoy the fighting aspect of the game, and I'm always just kind of looking for someone who's gonna be organized and give that a shot. Like, it doesn't have to be the only thing. Like, taking objectives is a part of the game mode. It's a important thing to do, I think. But if we're just gonna like run away from a fight or not try to participate at all, then I'm usually out. But other than that, I mean, I try and just pick up on whatever it is that other commanders do, and if there's something that I think works or I personally like, you know,
He can
I
make it
might try
yours.
and yeah, like I wouldn't say just like, you know, trying to copy other people, but just like pick up ideas. I think there's always something to learn. I think that's a really exciting thing about this game and playing World v World in open field like group content is just that like, you know, there's always new things to learn, new strategies, new styles that a commander could have. So you know, just you can pick up on a lot of those things and incorporate aspects of it into your own driving style. And yeah, I think it's served me well. I think.
No, I completely agree. I mean, two things. There's no point reinventing the wheel, number one. But number two, like you said, the learning never stops. Like even today, you know, pick up things. As long as I've been commanding, I still kind of observe and pick up things that I make mine. So as long as you don't get into that stubborn mentality of the end all be all, you can always be continuously improving.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to look at it. A good attitude to have. I mean, like for me, just like whatever I'm doing, whether it's games or you know just other hobbies, anything else going on, even in my professional life, like learning learning new things is like really fun, really exciting. It keeps things fresh, and so that's just like always been my mentality that like that's something that I want to do.
Man, it's like we planned this because that's the perfect segue into my next question. And I've asked this question to the 12, 13 people that I've interviewed before you because one of them I interviewed two people at the same time. And the reason I asked this question is I'm just curious as to whether it's a certain type of person that just kind of trends and leans toward commanding. And you don't have to answer this question, or you can answer it as specific or general as you want. But and I'll tell you the results after I ask you this. But what do you do IRL? And you know, I've found that of the previous 13 people that I interviewed, 12 of them were in managerial leadership positions, either in work or in school.
I then you can make it 13 out of 14 because I fit into that as well. I'm a program manager
Okay.
actually, so yeah, just very similar kind of position. But I was you know I did sports in high school and college. I was captain on several of my teams, so it's just kind of something that I've always done.
So you've always kind of been in that type of leadership position throughout your life.
Yeah, I'd say so.
13 to 14. There was literally only one person of the commanders, and I think it makes sense. But it's always a curious question for me to ask because I'm interested whether, you know, commanding is something that people do IRL too, or is someone such a introvert, non-leader IRL and they just want to command in a game? But it seems the
It's
trend holds true.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think like I would consider myself to be like more on the introverted end of the scale, like pretty heavily. So I don't know that it's necessarily like extrovert versus introvert kind of thing, but I think you do kind of have to have a like there's got to be some kind of personality trait that correlates, right? Because you've got to be able, like, you've got to both want to have that extra responsibility, and then also be able to handle the, you know, whatever backlash happens. Because like if things don't go well, like a lot of times it's on the driver, and even if it isn't on the driver, a lot of people are going to blame the driver. So, you know, I think you've got to be able to roll with the punches and deal with the shit that happens. And you know, personally, I kind of think that it doesn't have to be, but I think that's a common personality trait that just like fits into the leadership role, no matter what it is in.
Did you command or lead in other games, or is this the first game you've led in?
Um, this
Because I'm
is
assuming you played other MMOs.
so honestly, I have played other MMOs very minimally. I I was not big into other MMOs before Guild Wars. Cause let's see, whoa, the game comes out what 12 years ago now, something like that. Um, I was in college, I think. Fuck, I can't even remember now. Growing up though, I didn't like. I just wasn't allowed to play those kind of games. I didn't have freedom on the computer to play like an MMO online game, and so I didn't play them before Guild Wars. And then since then, I've tried some others out, but not like a ton of them. So I've been like in kind of a shot calling role in like other like PvP style games. Like I've played a bit of League, where I often ended up doing that. I played some Overwatch and other games like that, like relatively casually, but just like because of my role in my friend group, I often ended up kind of filling that leadership shot calling role. But yeah, no, like Guild Wars is really the only one where I like really seriously got into it and kind of actually put in like serious time studying and trying to be like a really good leader or shot caller.
When you said you've been commanding for how long now?
I want to say like 3 years. About, I think.
And when you said studying, beyond like following other commanders, what do you do? No, what? Let me ask you it two ways. What did you do, and what do you recommend other newer, inexperienced people trying to improve do?
Honestly, I think this is an answer for like literally any like, you know, my personal life lesson is just that like the best thing to do whenever you want to get better at something, you want to learn at something, is ask questions. Like there's no bad questions to ask, and so that's really what I did. Like I decided I wanted to start commanding, and so I just started, like I knew a few commanders. I started asking them questions, what they did. That led to an opportunity where I got to start, you know, doing some commanding and training. And it's just always been keep asking questions. Like I've been fortunate enough to play with very experienced players and very experienced commanders, and you know, like I never think that like I'm better than anyone else or that there's not anything that I can learn, even when I meet other commanders who have been commanding for less time than me. I think it's like always just asking questions, getting an idea of mindsets of people and strategies that people have. But you know, I think then also just me personally, I've spent a lot of time like thinking about the game outside of just playing it. So having an understanding of the mechanics and how things work, and like how the boon system works and how damage works in the game, and that can help like create a comp and a strategy that you can have, and once you like have a strategy that you want to do, then it's just about like getting other people to buy into it, and forming your game plan and executing on it.
Are you the theory crafter for EVO?
I would not say I am the theory crafter. No, I enjoy the theory crafting process, but I'm not the idea man by any stretch. So my very good friend Callus is like by far and away the biggest idea man in our group. He comes up with all of these crazy builds, crazy comps. Like sometimes I'll wake up and I've got like 20 fucking DMs, and I've just got to be like read through it. There's like 6 different ideas. My role is much more of the, you know, just ask questions about it, understand it, bounce ideas. You know, like someone has an idea. Okay, what does this idea do? How do you see it fit into a comp or a strategy? And then like I'm trying to just like rationalize it and put the realism on it. And then, you know, then it's like, okay, I like this idea. We don't like this idea. We think this one works. What do we want to test first? You know, what, and then evaluating afterwards. Like, same thing. It's just kind of a process. Like, work with
that's
the
the
people
part
in
of
the
the
guild
game
and decide
that I love the most right now. Just because there's been a fucking drought of content.
Yeah.
Like Silver and Nal are, you know, our guild's main like kind of theory crafters. Other one chips in a little bit, but those two kind of think out of the box and like, let's try this, let's try that. And for me, I'll try anything. I was like, you know, I don't give a fuck, right? Like I look forward to crazy shit. Let's see what happens. So
Yeah.
it's
I agree.
part of this part of the game that it's the absolute most fun for me. Is just testing out new crazy shit.
Yeah, I agree. That's like really fun. It's definitely a hard thing to try and like get right because you know you can try stuff, but you have limited amount of like feedback information, and there's very few scenarios that are like exactly the same. So you try
Yeah,
something
sure.
and it could
You need
work,
enough
and
data points. You need enough data
yeah,
points.
exactly. So it's hard. It's a bit harder to get that, but regardless, even if you are just trying something new out, whether it works or not, or whether it is like the best or not, it's fun to just try new things for sure.
What class do you drive on?
I drive mostly on Firebrand and sometimes on Chrono, although Firebrand gamers are harder to come by, so I normally end up on Firebrand more often than not. And I have way more Firebrand driving experience. I played Firebrand before I started driving. Um, and then in GVG specifically, it is like pretty much standard to have the driver on Firebrand. So when I have done that a lot, just that's just become the much more natural one for me. But I do enjoy chrono driving, and I will do it on occasion when the comp allows. But for better or for worse, I think firebrands are pretty essential to have in on basically every party. So they're kind of necessary, and so that's what I command on mostly.
Let me ask you this two ways then. Which one do you enjoy commanding on more, and which one do you find more effective? And I guess you could speak to the effective part in regards to your group.
So it goes a couple different ways. I I enjoy chrono driving in like a medium-ish sized group. So like my guild is about 20 people in it. Um, not everyone is able to show up every raid, but then we will often have like some extras. So we're usually running 15 to 20 right now. Um, I I think for like very serious, straight up fights, um, I am a skilled enough Firebrand player that it works better. Um, just because it the group movement stays a bit tighter. We're a bit more coordinated, and I can flow things around the Firebrand cooldowns a bit better. So if I'm doing anything where it's like, you know, even numbers, or we're like setting up, RVR fights, like any kind of structured thing, I think Firebrand works a bit better. But if it's like we're trying to do like outnumbered stuff, or we're trying out something wacky, I enjoy Chrono just because it creates a lot more playmaking opportunities. And like so like if you like you can do a lot more like portal plays, or like being in direct control of the veil. If your group is using veil, there's no delay. It could go exactly, like I can put the veil exactly where I want, exactly when I want. Whereas like if I'm playing driving on Firebrand, then and I want that veil, like I either have a chrono who is extremely in tune with exactly how I want to run things, or be like extra deliberate and predictive even about where I want that veil to be, because it has to go, like I have to give them the instruction while the group is moving, plus there's a Discord delay, so it can't be as precise and as effective in that sense. So I don't know, I think both are very good. I think like either can be equally effective. It just kind of depends what the group wants to do. But I'd say at this point I'm equally comfortable playing either one, and I think like comfort level on the class is probably the most important thing.
What made you want to decide to actually just command in World v World? So you joined World v World, and then what? One day you decided, fuck it, I want to pin, and you just went at it.
So like I'm like a big strategy person. Like I've played actually like the games that I've been the most serious in before Guild Wars were like pretty much all RTS games. So I played like a lot of Age of Empires 2 at a pretty competitive level. I played a bit of StarCraft. Um, so like a lot of those like strategy style games, and I, like I felt like the kind of mind games and planning and strategy that you have to have as a commander like really fit with how I enjoy engaging with games. And so I said, hey, I want to do this. And yeah, it was just kind of like talk to my guild leader at the time, got the random opportunity, and then just kind of build it from there.
Would you say that nowadays, majority of time when you're playing the game is spent commanding?
Um, it goes back and forth. Recently, like currently it's about 50-50, but I have like a decent amount of time available to do it. So I drive 3 days a week. And then I'll join another group like 2 or 3 days a week as well. So it's relatively even, but certainly like for a lot of the time that I've been driving, I've had probably I think the last two guilds that I was in before this, we rated 4 days a week, and even just like the extra day driving at times was like it's a lot more mentally taxing for me. So I played a bit less with other groups, but it kind of comes and goes. I enjoy following just because I get to play other things. Um, like the variety in the game for me is the like experiencing different situations and getting into like different fights, fighting different groups. But like I don't know, playing Firebrand every single day can get a bit boring. So I do like to take the opportunity to just like play something random, play a random DPS class, um, you know, mess around, do whatever.
Are
And
you the main driver in EVO?
yeah, I'm the only driver for
The
the
only
guild.
driver.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about EVO.
Um, we formed the guild a few weeks ago. Just kind of like core group was just a bunch of friends and former guildmates. And we kind of set out with the goal of just trying to play to have fun, but still like take fights relatively seriously, and try to win. Like winning is a very fun thing to do. So it's something that we're trying to do, but
You don't play to
definitely not
lose?
afraid.
What the hell, man?
Yeah, no, not trying to just like go out there and feed bags or anything, but no, I think our big thing is just that like we want to have a good time. If we're taking ourselves too seriously or whatever, and it becomes not fun, then I would consider that to be a failure. Um, yeah, like we're always looking for fights. That's like the main goal that we're going for when we play the game. We do GVG as well. So like getting into just set structured 15v15, and that's just another way to get to get fights, engaged with the game a bit differently. But I think a big part of what we're doing is just that like we're not afraid to mess around with the meta. Like we were talking about theory crafting earlier. That's something that is fun. We've got people who like to play different classes. So I think like my strategy has been to just have like people will have a main class that they play that kind of fits with whatever comp we're trying to run. But then not afraid to just like have people flex around every once in a while, give people that variety. Like I said, I don't like playing Firebrand every single day, so I can't expect everyone else to just be in a class jail forever either. So I think that wouldn't be fair. So yeah, just like we'll mess around, we'll mess with different comps, we'll mess with different strategies, and that's just like what we're trying to do. Just like setting out, looking to find good fights, looking to be serious and competitive, but make sure we have a fun attitude.
Is your guild currently recruiting?
We are recruiting.
And
We are
what
pretty
server do you guys
actively
play on?
recruiting. We're on Stormbluff Isle right now, SBI. And yeah, kind of recruiting for all classes. Like I said, we're at right about 20 on the roster right now, but obviously, people's schedules, not everyone can make every day. I think my goal is to be able to run 20 to 25 with good consistency in open field, and then make sure that we always have a complete roster for GVG every week. So we play open field on Saturday and Monday evenings, and GVG in NA right now, the active day is Thursday. So that's the current schedule.
So you raid what, 3 days a week basically?
Yeah, 3 days.
2 days World Reworld, 1 day GVG.
Correct.
And you guys are typically around 15 to 20 a night?
That's what we've been so far. I will run open tag pretty often, or even if I'm not like full open, it's pretty much always open if you're willing to join comms. I think that makes it much more effective as a group play. To be in comms together, even if someone isn't talking, just being able to listen to my callouts and callouts from other people in the group makes everything run smoother. So even if I'm closed, I'll usually, for like 99% of the time, let people join if they're willing to join comms. Just that's like the main caveat. But I, at least recently, like since we're pretty new guild, we're trying to recruit. We want to get a bit bigger. We want to meet new people. And we've already met like a variety of new people that I've never played with before, or a few that are pretty new to the game. So it's exciting. The guild's been growing pretty quick. I'm very happy with it, and I think the group's been pretty fun so far. But yeah, we have been running like true open tag, where I'm just open the tag up, advertise in team chat, get whoever to come, and we'll just go around defending whatever or fighting whichever groups are on the maps.
Are you trying to build towards like a 30 man, essentially?
We'll see. Like I said, I think my ideal is like 20 to 25. So I did the 30 plus man thing for a while, and like it was definitely interesting. It's very different from like the 15v15 GVG stuff that I
Oh, sure.
was used to before that. And so like if it happens, then it happens. But I think I'm setting just the goal to be around 25. I think that's like a big enough group that it lets you like be able to take on most situations. Like obviously you'll still have problems against like really organized map queues, but like you can have a dream about winning fights like outnumbered against the like 35-ish man guilds if you play like
Yeah.
perfectly.
I think that magic number to blob bust, like in perfect circumstances, you're playing really, really well. They may be playing like shit. You might have a slight advantage. Is like that 30 to 35. I think can crack like a 65 man comp map blob, but
Yeah.
it gets significantly more difficult. Like that distance I found from like 30 to 25. Those 5 players is fucking huge. It's like it's you wouldn't think so, but it's fucking huge. Like that 25 to 30 mid is it's incredibly noticeable when you're fighting a map
Yeah.
blob.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. When you're fighting like true map blobs, if it gets above like up in the like 60 player range, like that, definitely you kind of need that many people, I think. But I don't know, like there's I I've seen a lot less of the like there's very few of the like true like 60 man guilds these days. I've seen a lot more in the like 35 to 40 range. And then if you have like the huge like map queue blobs, a lot of times it's an open tag, and then you have more advantage, just because like if you're an organized group, you guys have all played together. You have a distinct strategy that everyone knows that they're trying to execute. That's like you need those advantages, and then you also have to execute perfectly on it. Like I'm not saying it's like easy by any stretch of the imagination. It's extremely difficult, nigh on impossible, and you should count yourself lucky if you can win those fights for sure. But like uh, I think like fighting the like 30 to 40 man guilds or the like pug map blobs, like you have a chance at like those numbers. I think it's possible.
Yeah, there's only about, I think, 4 or 5, which is one thing that I don't understand. I guess, like, every guild has a right to run as large as they want, and if their communities are that large, so be it. But there's only like 4 or 5 50 man blobs on NA, right? You got like VIP when they run, you got TM, you got
Mhm.
Flux, CO, and I'm missing one.
Raw runs that big pretty often,
Or is
right?
it Roar? Okay.
They're usually 50-ish though. I don't
Yeah,
know
Roar
if
runs
they.
pretty thick actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess Nick, so you got 6, but he runs he runs in that time zone where there's literally no other 50 man blobs out. Like he's always fighting
Yeah.
pugs.
Yeah.
So as far as Prime NA, we have 5 50 man blob guilds, I guess. So your
The
competition that you're fighting is limited anyways, that pool of
yeah.
other 50 mans to challenge yourself against.
I think the other thing that gets problematic about being like getting larger is that you like yes it opens you up to have the possibility to beat those groups, but you also get priced out of content, I think. Because there's a decent amount of like 20 man groups, and like if you're 30 35 and you're organized, like you're just gonna dunk on them, right? So like you either have to set up an RVR and agree that you're gonna like drop numbers if you want to fight them, or you have to hope that they have a sidecar that's willing to work with them, or something like that. Whereas like if you're a bit smaller, then like those fights, even if you win most of them, if you're better, they're still like, you know, they can be competitive. They can be a lot of fun to do, and it's also easier. Like if you have to sit like 5 people, that's like much easier. You just
Easier
rotate a
than
party
than like
than having
10
to
or
sit
15.
like 10 or 15. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely,
So,
that's true.
yeah, there's definitely pros and cons, I think, to any sized group. But yeah, just personally, it's the numbers. I enjoy the content most at the like 20 to 25 range. I have found.
I know your guild is relatively new, but maybe you have one already. But and ask everyone this: do you have a rival or arch nemesis so far, as of yet?
Rival or an arch nemesis?
And not in a negative way. It's just like I really really like fighting this person, or maybe it is negative. I don't know, but someone who you consider,
I don't know, not really yet. I don't think. I mean, we've only had a few matchups together, and like the group right now is like it's more of just like getting to know everyone in the group, since there's a bunch of players that I haven't played with before. So I'm right now just more excited about meeting new people and getting to know them, learning their play style, having a good time hanging out, and we're just taking whatever fights we can get. No real rival yet, I don't think.
how about commander-wise? Since you've been commanding for a long time, who's your least favorite commander to fight?
Who's my least favorite commander to fight? Tough question.
Think about it, because I'm about to ask you right after that. Who's your most favorite commander to fight? I'm gonna ask it both ways.
Let's see. I don't know. That's a tough one. I've never really thought about it. I think, well, actually, all right. I've got a cop out. I've got a cop out answer to this that I'm gonna take. Historically, my least favorite commander fight was you, actually, and this was like several years ago. I think at this point now, but I always found that like it was really tough to fight you guys because uh, you were often bigger than us, and I think one thing that you do really well that at the time I just annoyed me and I didn't appreciate, and now I think I understand it a bit more and can appreciate it a bit more. But like you're never, from in my experience, you're not one to give up any like advantage for free, right? So like you're bigger, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna like take a bad engage or like put yourself in a bad position, right? Like it's still like it's your prerogative to win, so you still want to take every advantage that you have, and so that that annoyed me because like as the smaller group, I always need like the perfect scenario to try and beat you guys, and you just like would never give me that perfect opportunity. um, but I think more recently, I mean, this was when I was driving for Soul, so you know the numbers were even at that point. But like when I had even numbered fights against you guys, it became like a very challenging chess match. I found
But
like
you know
both
why I
groups
drive
had
like
good
that though?
players.
And it's
Yeah.
not to like push the advantage, is that historically, like through every game I've ever commanded in, I always command like I can lose the fight. Like I
Mm.
never underestimate my enemy regardless
Yeah.
of the number differential. And I
Yeah.
always like and when I command the fight too, I full command through it. I don't just I've never like yo just run in blah blah blah. We're 50 to 30 blah blah. I always respect the enemy. I always respect the commander, and I always play every fight like I can lose it.
No, I think that's a good attitude, and I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like now that I've come to understand that. Like we've talked a few times, and like have done like we did our groups did like an in-house kind of thing where we like mixed up rosters and just had some fun fights. I've come to appreciate that, and then having also like been in more of those situations, like I I I totally agree with it and like buy into it. Where like hey, I don't want to lose. Like I'm not gonna just like give up free advantages. I'm not gonna underestimate these people because like someone tells me they're bad or like we beat them last time. Like no, like you want to take it seriously and take a good fight. And Yeah, so having like come to appreciate that more, and then when I've gotten the opportunities to fight you at like a more even number, and having like grown also myself as a commander, because I think also I was significantly worse um, previously as well, right? Like again, back to the always learning thing. Um, I like I have enjoyed our matchups. It's been fun trying to fight you guys just because like you have to like from the commander perspective, you have to really just like you know try to find those little opportunities. Like, is there somewhere where like he's gonna slip up and leave an opening that we can capitalize on? It puts extra stuff in like the commanders like mind and control and responsibility. Whereas I think like a lot of other times, it can come down to just like a raw skill check. But when both groups are just like very skilled, numbers are relatively even, like a lot more of the deciding factor comes down to like the commander decisions, I think, and just like being a driver, I personally enjoy that, obviously.
And I think that that's part of like what I think a lot of people, in my opinion, miss in this game is that every single commander and guild has died to every other single commander or guild in this game. There's no such thing as an undefeated commander or undefeated guild, and you can't rely on yesterday's wins to bring you today's wins. Like, so what? We won every single fight yesterday. That doesn't mean you're gonna win every single fight today. Like, you can't. That's why I tell my guys, don't cry about yesterday's losses and don't circle jerk yesterday's wins. Like, no one gives a fuck what you did yesterday. It's all about what you're doing on the board today. Like, literally, no one gives a fuck what you did yesterday.
For sure, I agree. Yeah, I think that's a good attitude to have, just like for everyone in your group. It means that like everyone's going to be more focused and I think perform better on the day to day.
And then practice how you play. Play every fight like you can lose it. And when you do that, in my opinion, and you practice how you play, if you play every fight out like it can be lost, and you do the right movements, the right callouts, and it's kind of uniform, it makes your player base better because they know how to anticipate your driving and your fighting style. Whereas if you have the advantage and you know you have the advantage, but you're like, just run in, fucking blah blah down, blah 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 blah. Over time, I think that does you a disservice or the group a disservice.
Yeah, that's fair. So I got a question for you then, kind of going off of that. So because you also do a lot of like both, you pug manned a lot and you have your closed raid stuff, right? How do you approach those things differently? Because like, you get a bunch of people who have never followed you before, and like you can't just expect them to be able to know exactly how you play or anticipate what exactly you're gonna do. So do you have to change your driving style between those two things at all, or how do you handle that?
I change my callouts for sure. My callouts that I use internally are completely different than my callouts that I use externally. They're a lot more simple, just because you can't expect people to know your internal callouts when they're pugs and they may be joining you for the first time. Number two, I'm a pretty competitive guy, and I'll yell and scream in between fights, and then I'm over it the next fight. But in a pug raid, I'll never yell or scream, just because in my mind I have no right to yell or scream at a pug, right? So I don't. My mentality is different. I'm just out there to get as many fights as possible, win, lose, or draw both ways. So like even when I'm private or in public, like people who watch my stream or watch me, like there's some nights where I lose every fucking fight. It's just part of competition, right? Someone has to win, someone has to lose. I try to take as many as possible, but I definitely slightly adjust. I think my philosophy for fighting and commanding is the same, but I do adjust my callouts. I do slightly adjust my driving style. If you notice in my pug raids, I literally drive the pug raids in crayon. Like I say, move here, we're gonna dodge there, you're gonna look here, you're gonna use this ability at this point. Like you might as well just fucking give me all the tunes and let me push the buttons for them. And that's kind of my style for pug manning. But in my opinion, that's the best way to create a successful pug force when everyone has a different skill level. Like you have to be able to call out all these abilities that are necessity towards the fucking fight.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But the other thing is, I just love. I don't like it. I don't like playing this game as much when I'm not commanding, whether it's pug manning or guild raiding. Like I don't know why, and maybe it's just I'm a degenerate like that. But I don't have as much fun playing this game when I'm following someone else.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that's like my biggest philosophy. I think like outside of everything else is just that like we're playing a game, you should be having fun. And that's what I tell like anyone who talks to me about wanting to join my guilds, or even just like people that I talk to in general in other guilds. Like I'm always just of the opinion that like you should be trying to have fun. If you're not having fun, then we should look at changing something around to try and make it more fun. Like you can get heated in the moment and get really competitive, and like losing sucks, yeah, but I think that overall, like on the whole, you should on the day-to-day be having a good time, and if you're not, then something's wrong.
No, there's no question about that, because I mean at the end of the day we're playing fucking a video game, right? Let's be fucking
Exactly,
honest.
yeah.
We're playing a video game. But that being said, we're playing it or trying to play it competitively, and if anyone's done anything competitive in their life, there's definitely, it gets emotional and sometimes heated between even teammates. But the one thing I tell my guys as well is that after the fight's over and we're done talking about it, I just don't give a fuck. Like I'm not bringing it up at the next fight or the fight after that, tomorrow, day after, next week, next month. Like it doesn't fucking matter. The fight's over, we've talked about it, we're done. Like it's on to the next fucking fight, right? Because what is that, like one fight? I'm at like 1.7 million kills now almost. That's what, one fight out of God knows how many thousands upon thousands of fights I've had. I just don't give a fuck, right? It doesn't matter. One fight means nothing.
Yeah. No, I think that's that I agree with that attitude about it.
But you need to be able to we need to be able to like be honest and open with one another and be like, yo, and I say the same thing. If I fucked up on the drive, be like, yo, that's on me. I fucked up, right? But if our Firebrand's fucked up, yo, that's on you guys. If we messed up on the res, that's on whoever was in the res rotation, right? Like, we have to be able to be honest with one another, but no one should ever take it personally because, quite frankly, it doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, it does not fucking matter.
Yeah.
But we have to
I think
be
that
able to
was
take responsibility for, the role that we're playing or the position that you're there for, because at the end of the day, we're a team. Everyone plays a role in that team, and we got to be there for your teammates.
yeah, I agree. The team thing is another big thing that I like to push personally. I think it's really valuable and will just like lead to more effective like group improvement and a better experience for everyone as well.
Man, no one should ever get down about losing. And I tell my guys this all the time. It's like, if you felt bad after that loss, shake it off, because take how you feel, multiply it times 100, and then that's how I feel as the leader, right? So, and if I get over it after like 5 minutes, then you should definitely get over it, right? You're like, as bad as you may be feeling, I'm feeling a lot worse, trust me, because I'm the one that drove us. I'm the one that's leading us. I'm the one that's commanding us. So, if I get over it, you should get over it. Don't fucking dwell on it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've had nights where I've led and we like literally haven't won a single fight. We just like get your shit beat in for
It
2
happens,
hours
though.
or
It
whatever.
happens.
It's like
It
it
happens.
happens, but it's like you get over it. Like whatever, doesn't matter. It's not gonna happen next time necessarily. Like next time, it's just as likely that we just shit stomp somebody for 2 hours. So.
Exactly. You're not defined by one night's worth of fucking fights. Either way, one way or another. You're not defined by 1 week's worth of fights, one way or another, right? You're defined by, in my opinion, your competitive spirit, number one, but number two, your desire or want or need, whatever is the best descriptor, to get out there and keep fighting. And that's it. Like, I want gladiators by my side, right? The people that want to compete, win or lose. I don't want fucking people that are gonna cry, bitch, and whine, like, and are only there for the W's. No, like, be there through the fucking thin of it too.
For sure.
You and I think, have a very similar mentality in a lot of these aspects.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've come to kind of realize. Like I don't think we'd met until I don't know a few months ago. Like really like one on one ever talked and you're a very prominent community member for sure. Like I think most people know who you are and have some have good, some have bad opinions. Like that's kind of whatever, to each their own. But it was, it was kind of interesting and nice to like get to know your mindset about the game and how you think about things and kind of see some similarities there. It definitely, was a good experience and glad that it happened and has made it. I have a lot of fun following you when I do get the chance. So. Yeah,
I appreciate that, and then, to be honest, I feel the same way. I have a lot of, we didn't know each other, so I have a lot of mutual respect there, quite frankly. And after talking to you more now, the respect has even gone, even further. So I really, picking Commander's brains. At the end of the day, I've come to find most people are pretty reasonable, pretty nice, and just want a competitive fight. There's some outliers out there, but I feel my opinion is people think that I'm a bad guy because I like to farm a lot. But fuck it, I like to farm because there's no other action out. It's not personal. It's not because I hate you or want to punish you or make you feel bad or make you not like the game. I want to +1 my kill count because once I get to 2 million, I can quit this fucking game. But the other thing is, you might be the only action out, so I'm farming. What do you want me to do? It's either play the game and farm or don't play the game.
Yeah. I think one thing that like kind of is not directly related to that, but like just call to action to other commanders. Like, I think that a lot of times people get hung up and like they don't want to lose, or they'll get like, really set on one thing, and that leads to them like maybe not taking fights or running away from fights and then coming back, like getting another group to come to where then the odds are just like it's not a fair fight the other direction. But I think just like people really shouldn't be like ever like afraid to fight. Like try things out, and if like something really isn't working and like your group is just like always going to lose to some other group because that group has 10 more people than you or whatever, like ask if they're willing to do an RVR and like rotate some people and try and make it more fair. Like if someone sends that to me, like unless like I'm like fully Pug Manning and it'd be like really hard to do where like people aren't all in comms and it just would get like really weird, like 99% of the time, like I'm down to try and make something work so that everyone has a like it's way more fun to have like a serious like competitive fight, not just like W key someone. Like the challenge of trying to beat someone in a fair fight is like way more fun, way more exciting, and that challenge is really rewarding. So if I have 10 more people than somebody else and they ask me for evens, or even just like if like another group like wants to fight, like I'll ask them and even say like you don't have to sit people, I don't care, even if we lose. Like for me personally, my group's trying to improve, like we'll fight outnumbered, we find that fun. But just like being willing to go out there and ask for those things and try and set that stuff up, I think that just would like lead to a lot more fun fights and a lot more people willing to like get involved and participate in that aspect of the game on a consistent basis, and that just leads to everybody having more fun, and I think that's just better.
Well, I agree with that. And then the other thing is, I'll say it again: losing doesn't matter in this game. There's no such thing as an undefeated commander, no such thing as an undefeated guild. And quite frankly, if you want to take the other side, winning doesn't fucking matter either, right?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
playing for the competitive fight, for that enjoyment of the challenge that's in front of you in the moment. After that, it doesn't fucking matter. It literally doesn't fucking matter. And if you're struggling, in my opinion, a lot of the times what I do as a guild leader and commander, like say we're it's like we're at 30 and we're fighting a 65, 70 man, we'll try and try and try and try, and maybe, some nights we take like 20, 25 fucking losses. Like, it is what it is. But what I do as we start getting past that, 10, 12, 13, 14 loss mark is I start trying to change the win conditions. Like, let's try to down at least 10 players, 15 players, 20 players, 30 players. Like, and we have arc DPS, so you can change the win conditions, because guess what? Yeah, fine. A 65 comped versus 30 may be fucking really, really hard or next to impossible, but you can take that synergy and team building and that improvement in the skill and the play to the next fight tomorrow, which might be a little bit easier, might be a little bit more, well, not easier, but might be a little bit more fair numbers wise, right? But like that skill improvement is where, in my opinion, most guilds should focus on, because that you can take with you tomorrow, day after, the next week, the next month. You can't take the fucking 30 wins you had yesterday or the 30 losses you had yesterday. You can't take that with you. It means nothing. It's
Yeah.
meaningless.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. Good way to get like just keep people engaged, not get people bummed out about losing. Yeah, I like that.
People shouldn't get bummed out anyways. Like, it literally, in this game, it does not, let me say it the 30,000th time, there's zero fucking detriment for losing in this game. The run back is not even that long. It's 30 seconds.
True,
Maybe
true, true, true.
45, right? Like, you don't lose your gear, you don't lose your gold, you don't lose anything. No one should give a fuck.
No, that's fair.
It's not like other games where there's a huge fucking loss to yourself or guild when you
Yeah,
lose.
it's not like when I played RuneScape and I lost in the woods and some guys took all of my gear, and then I have never played that game since because I'm still upset about it.
I think
That was some pretty harsh.
that's hardcore, right? That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hardcore. But in this game, there's nothing lost. Like, people should just take as many fights as fucking possible. And if you're finding that you're struggling, change it up, like you said. I'm a huge fan of that. If you're not queued on the map, or change the win conditions so that at least your guild can take some learning experience, some fight experience, and take that with you to tomorrow and day after.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on just to change topics slightly? What are your thoughts on the direction ANET's taking World v World?
Um, I so kind of like good and bad. I like that recently they've been like relatively open about things and have been making changes. Like, I think a lot of people will say like, oh, they're not making changes fast enough, but they've made like there's been a shift, I think, that at least that I've seen, and there have been more changes of late, and more like open expression about like what they're trying to change. And so I think we have a bit more of an idea of like what their goals are, which is good. And they're trying things, which I think is really good as well. So like that part is good. I think personally, like there's a few balance things that like I don't like super love, but then I don't have solutions for. So it's kind of
For instance, any
cheap
examples?
for me to say. Well, let's see. Like, I think the like Firebrand. So they like in the past year or whatever, there have been major balance changes that have kind of actually changed. Like the meta before or whatever the first big patch after EOD came out, like the meta had been the same since forever, right? Like it was just Firebrand, Scrapper, Herald, Scourge, Spellbreaker, you know, and that was it. Right? Like if you were comping, that was basically what you played. They've changed that up, which is good. I think the one place that they've struggled, and they've like made attempts at this, and they say that their goal is to change up the stability situation and not make it so that, you know, Firebrand is the only thing that can be run as your stability, like main stability source. I think that's like a good goal, but they've not been successful at it. Part of that is just that, like, I think Firebrand's kit
It has
is
too many
really
sources of stab. It has 5 sources of fucking stab.
Yeah, but it also has like, here's the problem though, as I see it, is like, okay, so you nuke Firebrand, you like get rid of a couple of its stab sources, right? That probably includes like completely destroying the elite mantra. And then what happens is that, like, you know, just like any kind of CC becomes extremely oppressive. I've kind of come around to just thinking that like Firebrand is a necessary evil. I really like where the like heal/cleanse support balance is. Like I think that Druid, Vindy, and Tempest are all like very viable. They bring slightly different things. Like Vindicator brings more, like a huge amount of healing consistently, is a little bit less on cleanse, and doesn't bring one of the key boons like Alacrity of Quickness. But then like Druid can just like absolutely pump on cleanses. It can give a lack, and it's got like really good resutil. And then Tempest is like a bit more middle ground, but still like really useful and brings like auras as like a unique buff. I think all three of those, like I don't think you're griefing if you are playing any of those. Like,
I agree
and
with that.
probably some mix of them is optimal. Like some mix of at least two is optimal. So like getting to a situation more like that, I think is really good. I think Chrono right now is a bit overtuned. And then like DPS is in a decent situation, I guess. Like Berserker obviously I think is like potentially a bit overtuned on raw damage, but you know, you can play Vindy and it can be like pretty competitive. You can play like other damage dealers and they can be like, you know, relatively competitive. So you know, that's in like a pretty good spot in my opinion. I don't know, it's weird. I think like maybe an overall damage nerf would be good, and then that gives you a bit more wiggle room on being able to like tone down other things. Then
Let me
like,
ask you
maybe
this.
stab isn't as
How
as
would you
punishing.
feel, and this is something that, you know, I've been thinking about. How would you feel about just getting rid of stab and then putting a DR timer on the CCs? So Daze and Stun shares a DR timer, Knockdown and Pulse shares a DR timer, Knockback and Launch shares a DR timer, Float and Sync shares a DR timer, and then Fear and Taunt shares a DR timer. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 DR timers, and that would do two things. Number one, Get rid of fucking stab, because I think part of the problem is stability as a boon itself. But number two, it would kind of create a little bit better rotations and PC opportunities rather than everyone dumping everything at once. So you can dump it all at once, but you're gonna put everything on DR. How would you feel
So,
about that?
so by DR you mean that like you can't, like if you get stunned, you can't get stunned again for
For
a
X
certain
number of
amount of time?
seconds, yeah.
Interesting.
And then you just get rid of stability as a boon all fucking together. And then it solves the stability problem, because I just don't know, without hard nerfing the tools that Firebrand has, how you give another class that many sources of stab, right? Because the Firebrand has the elite, the one off the book, the one off the fucking F3, big stab, and hollow ground. That's just so much fucking stab.
Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting. I haven't thought about that one, and I might have to think about it more. I'd still worry that like I think paired with that, you would probably want to nerf the durations of how long the CCs last. I think just like overall, like being CC'd sucks.
Agreed.
And getting chain CC'd
Sucks even more.
sucks even more. Like
Yeah.
when you just don't get to
DR,
play
bro,
the
it's the
game,
answer. DR
when you
is
get
the answer.
when you don't get to play the game, it's like bad. So like that might, like if you could do that right, where like your likelihood of getting chain CC'd is really low. It also would like up this like the skill engagement.
The combat
Right,
time,
because
the actual combat time would go up.
yeah. But then also like if a group was really coordinated and you could like you knew and learned how to like rotate your CCs so that you could actually chain somebody and lock them down, like that's more that like a skilled group can benefit off of.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a big thing that goes into my core philosophy about things is that I like skill expression more than anything else. And so like you need some level of like decent floor so that just like people who play really casually or whatever can still like play and enjoy the game. I think that's really important. But I think there should be like really serious rewards if you're willing to like put in the time to understand how the game works, to like master like whether it's rotations or skill usage or reactions. Like I think that's really valuable and is like a pinnacle of like design philosophy for me, I guess. So I like your idea is interesting. I'd have to think about if it like fits with that really nicely and what might be the pitfalls. But like if it does, then yeah, I would say that could definitely be an option to do it. But that's the big thing for me. Like I don't want just like raw damage or like number nerfs and buffs so much as I want like more abilities that create like windows of opportunity for people to like use their skills in like deliberate ways that result in like better usage of them is better results.
All right, more coordination, more disciplined group should always win. Right? I think that
Yeah.
just makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a big value for me.
Like that way, like in my idea is if you have 5 DRs, maybe you do a DR at a time. So you have 5 sets of CC. You gotta actually call them out and say someone fucks up, throws down one and puts on DR on one of the ones that you're looking for. You can't use that CC on them for whatever period of time they decide.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting to see because like at large group scale, like you don't
People
have
just
a ton
spam,
of
because in this game
control
there's just so
over-
much spamming. That's the thing that I don't like, is that there's, compared to other MMOs I played, there's just so much spamming. Yeah, there's a little bit of coordination in there, but when you're at that 50-man level, it doesn't honestly matter. Just fucking spam out.
Yeah. That's
And
another
this would
thing
be
that I
a
like about
detriment to
smaller groups.
having such a large, like even if you are a larger force, if you're undisciplined in your CC usage, you've basically put your enemy onto full fucking DR, and then they can fucking drive it, right? Whereas if they've been a little bit more conservative and disciplined with their CCDR usage, they can still work on that bigger group. So while you might have the larger group, unless they're disciplined, you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Like I hadn't thought of that idea. That's a very interesting one. I kind of like it.
Anything on your wish list for ANET? both as a player and a commander. I'm gonna ask you both ways, and I know you gotta go for a GVG, so I'm gonna run through these questions real quick, and then I'm gonna
Anything
give you like 3 minutes to give a, a hard recruit message for your guild. A plug.
Anything on my wish list? I can't really think of anything like, super high up there.
Nothing
No.
you'd want to see. Nothing you want Aina to do as a commander.
Not that I can think of right now. No. Like, it'd just be all like, super amorphous, like increased skill expression, that kind of stuff. I don't have anything specific right now that I'm thinking about.
What about tools as a commander? Anything specific?
Um,
You could be like, I am commanding. I wish I had this little tool as a commander in my toolkit to help me command, or pugmand.
if there was some way for me to like record my own timers, I think that would be it. Like right now, if you want to do something like that, you have to do it through like some kind of third-party app and have like weird hotkeys set up to do it. But like if I could just like have like a timer, so like I call wells and then like I can like start my own timer and keep track of approximately when the wells are going to be up. That would be nice.
Okay, interesting. And we talked about game balance. What is EVO doing for alliances? Do you know? Have you talked about it?
We haven't really talked about it yet. Like I said, only a few weeks old. So I've got some people that I've been friends with. Maybe talk to them, but haven't thought about it too much yet. Just trying to get everything off the ground. More than anything else, it's just like focus on ourselves, get our recruitment up, figure out what playstyle and comp we want to play the game with, figure out new things we want to try, and go from there.
Okay, that's fair. And then what's your stance on open field ethics in regards to ash jamming if there's two groups already fighting and pin sniping? Or anything else that you can think of?
Pin sniping, I definitely say, like, I don't like that. It's hard to not do because, like, a lot of times you want to mark the enemy commander so you can see where the enemy group is going, but then, like, that just leads people to target them even if you tell them not to. So, I would just say for people, like, if you kill the enemy commander, then the fight ends a lot of the times, right? You don't get to keep doing the fight. You actually get less kills if you pin snipe. So, don't do it. As far as, like, other ethics, I am generally, like, if groups are fighting, I don't ask jam at first for the most part. Unless if someone ask jams me, it's open season. If I ever ask jam them for whatever reason, I should expect to get ask jammed in return. It's just kind of a tit for tat thing. Yeah, I think that's where it's at. Only other like ethics thing is like I don't like siege. I hate siege, honestly. Oh, actually, that's my wish list. Just delete siege from the game. Figure out some other way to capture objectives and delete siege. I hate all of it. It's dumb. So yeah, don't use siege on people.
They should put like a siege, lower the siege cap, in my opinion, especially in such a small area. So I got one question left for you, which is essentially plug. Is there anything you want to talk about before I take Twitch questions, and then I'll leave you to plug it, and then we can call the talk.
No, I think we covered most of the stuff that I was thinking about. What if chat's got any questions? I'd love to hear them.
It was a good conversation, honestly. It was nice to pick your brain. Let me see. Twitch, does anyone have any questions? There's one old one. How does you guys are fucking memers. I'll ask it though. How does Knight feel about the minion spam meta?
All right. I have done some independent testing of this. Minions are not the problem.
It's
And
it's the invuln Chronos.
it's the invuln mesmer phantasm.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I believe my understanding of things is that the way the game calculates stuff is it will do all of the damage calculations and then apply invuln. So having so many invuln things results in like effectively twice as many
Yeah.
calculations having to happen, and then that is just what
Well,
causes the server.
it's both together. It's both
It's
together.
probably both. It's
Yeah.
probably both together because like I had played Rise before the like chrono change, and like
It
it
wasn't
wasn't a
as
problem.
bad. Yeah. But I
And
mean,
then it's only
though I
but
think it
then
does need a tuning because it's not even just the minions. It's actually fucking Death Nova. That's the
well,
problem.
I don't know about that. Here's how I know, or here's an example that makes me think that it's not the minions mancers very much at all. Is I was doing a 15v15 GVG just last week, and a player of mine had no problems in our first round of fights, and then in the second round of fights, the enemy group was playing 4 mesmers, and they were just having everyone like dropping a million frames. Everyone's teleporting across the screen. No minion mancers were involved. So, like, it's probably some of both. In reality, I don't know if there's an easy solution to fix it. But yeah, when the skill lag gets bad, it gets really bad, and it's very frustrating to try and play. But you know, I don't know what exactly the solution is. Like, if there even is a solution. Mostly, I think worse than the skill lag though is just like everyone whining about it. Honestly, like I just always tell my people, like, it's the reality of the situation. It is what it is. Like, if it's so impossible that you literally can't play the game, then like I guess we log off. Otherwise, it's just like we understand that that's the situation, and maybe we just like play damage revs, and when the skill lag gets really bad, you turn on dwarf hammers, and even when you run out of energy, they keep going, and you just 1-1-1-1-1, and that's how you play the game. So, you know, it is what it is.
The other question we have is there something your guild group would like to see? I kind of answered that, but I don't know. Is there anything that that your guildmates would like to see in this game?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about anything in particular. I mean, we're mostly thinking about things just in the reality of the game that we're playing. So I'm very excited for the expansion drop and access to new weapons on all the different elite specs.
Do you think it's sad that that's all we got to be excited about? That we got no other real content, just fucking weapon sets opening up for us for World v
Uh,
Worlders?
well, I mean, I don't know. We've got a bunch of different ideas that we want to try, so I'm pretty excited about it. Honestly, it should be
It
a
doesn't
good
bother you
time.
that there's nothing else?
I think that okay, if if what they've said is true and they're gonna just like release content like more consistently, but like less big stuff all at once, then I'm fine with it. Like to me, like going on a drought for like a couple years, several years, like that's worse than just like only getting a little bit, but getting it every quarter. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm kind of looking forward to it, honestly.
Interesting. My drought's been for 10 years. Can you help with that?
I'm not gonna comment on that one.
Pause, bro. Pause. Any other questions for Twitch before we let our friend here plug and run? How do you feel about putting ley lines in Desert BL? Don't they kind of have that already? Isn't that
Yeah,
what the jumping thing
I don't know.
does?
The jumpy birds, yeah. It's like basically the same thing. You got to do something to get it. I don't know. That's kind of cool. Maybe, I don't know. Does he have a sister? I'm not answering that. But...
All right. Any other questions? All right. Give us a plug. How if someone wants to join EVO and join you, how can they join? If you can just go over the schedule one more time, and then if you have a Discord link or website or whatever, if you can just throw it in Twitch, that'd be great.
Yeah, so let's see. Like I said, we raid 3 days a week. Open field, we're running Saturday and Monday evenings, NA time, and then Thursday we do GVG. It's not required that you do both, although that is preferred and highly encouraged. You don't have to have any experience in GVG to do it. I'm big on helping people. And yeah, the group is we're always going to be looking for fights, and we're big on just trying to work as a team, work to improve, and have a good time. So yeah, the best way, I'll put my Discord link in Twitch for you, and then the only other thing is just like the best way is just going to be to PM me in Discord, and I just like to talk to people, get to know them a little bit, and then we will go from there. But yeah, we're recruiting, so if anyone's interested in joining a fight group that likes to have fun, likes to mess around with new builds, is you know interested and liked hearing from me, that's basically who I am. So it'll just be more of that. And
Uh,
thanks, Cindo. This was very fun. It was a good conversation, I think.
I think so too. It's nice to speak with a commander who has a very similar mindset to me, to be honest with you. Like, we may show that and portray that differently when we're commanding, but I think our philosophies are very similar. So, I guess I can take this question real quick. Are you planning on staying on SBI, or do you guys move around a lot, or is that?
Well, apparently I wasn't following, so I'm now following. We are on SBI. No plans to move currently. That would be a discussion for the future. There's a limited amount of other groups looking for fights on SBI right now, so I think it's a pretty good place for us to be. We've got like, depending on the link, limited other competition for the like big fights, and so far people have been pretty willing to help like move around, scout, and get us in places that we can take those fights. So it's been pretty good so far.
Rock on. Well, Knight, truly was a pleasure. I think this is one of the, I enjoy doing these by all means, but it was definitely interesting picking your brain. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for spending the time with everyone, and I'll put up the YouTube video tomorrow for everybody.
All right,
But
sounds good.
thank you again. Check out Knight, check out EVO. If you're looking for a guild, we need more, you know, guilds out there that can put out a nice size force and that are competitive, that don't give up, that are just looking for fights. So, sounds amazing to me.
Sweet deal. Thanks, man.
All right, brother. Good luck on your GBG tonight.
Thanks.
Take care.